Was this kind of stuff going on also at Men from Magog?
It was, definitely. Yes, Newport is definitely one of those locations. Now, any place that's got nice, easy transportation route that's easy to evade. There was no boat patrol on Men from Magog, but you did have your customs agent there. You had also your border patrol, and they were supposed to be executing the federal laws, but they frequently just turned a blind eye. So, yeah.
Isn't this how the Kennedys made their money?
It is. Yes, it definitely is. Yeah. Now, there were a lot of people that were investing in plantations in the Caribbean and manufacturing facilities, and they were operated by folks from places like New England. They would go to the Caribbean and they created the network. They had the business ties. They had the social elites who wanted the alcohol, wanted a consistent supply line, and so the Kennedys and others would be more than willing to provide that. So, yeah.
We had a band director, Dean Merrill, who's from Barry a long time ago, and his sister worked in the garage in Barry where they modified cars.
Oh yeah.
Oil onto a hot engine, create clouds of smoke.
Yep.
So when they would meet the booze coming down from the monasteries in Canada,
that's right,
by the Black River, they would drive on back roads, and if anybody was following them, they could do this and create clouds of smoke.
They do that. They'd also throw out spikes, so throw out nails and things like that on the road right behind them. All the tires are balloon tires for the 1920s and early 30s. So they're like a bicycle tire. They pop very, very easily. It doesn't take a lot of effort. And once you pop a tire, they're done. So they're not going anywhere.
Speakeasy in Barry. Once Prohibition ended, he told me that it moved up to the Canadian border, and nobody knows exactly what they're doing up there.
Where wasn't Barry?
I don't know where it was in Barry.
Well, I know that for Barry, since you have a large Italian population at the time that's, in fact, moving to Barry at that time, during Prohibition, they were unwilling to give up their wine and their homemade grappa. And so what they did is they would get rail car loads of grapes that would come from central New York. And they'd get several of them from August right through till now, into October, the end of the grape season. And families would go down and they'd get crates and crates of grapes. And remember, they were allowed to make 200 gallons at home production, but in many cases they made far more than 200 gallons and shared it with other community members beyond just those in Barry and Montpelier. So make a little extra money. So.
I guess I'm feeling funny about the male, female, us and them in the Prohibition concept. I read a little history about women being asked to take a shot before quilting gatherings, and maybe you have some history.
I don't have any history about that. That's cool.
Vermont, I don't know if it's, Boston.
The temperance societies, you're right, they weren't all just women. It was men and women that were members of the temperance society, and even during Prohibition there were some ministers that tried to convince their congregation that they needed to take and follow the federal laws. Their attempt was largely in vain. So,
you mentioned the Congregational Church. Were they the leaders of this temperance stuff?
Some of them were. Yeah.
Okay.
Congregational Church, were they tied directly with the temperance societies, and that is true. So many of the churches in the state of Vermont during the 1820s and 30s were Congregationalist. And so they frequently are the ones who are starting the temperance societies, and they start spreading, going from church to church to church. And what they're doing is they're giving speeches about about temperance and the value it is to individuals and to society, and that's how it spreads. So.
I grew up in Maine, and Neil Dow was a congregational minister who started many of the temperance societies in Maine. And one of the issues for the women in Maine anyway was spouse abuse.
Yeah.
And it started as that was one of the issues that became important. important for the women in this temperance society.
One quick point about your slide about industrial alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Wood alcohol.
it's. I know this because laboratories can get pure grain alcohol.
Right.
So that it's not adulterated with methanol, but it's not the ethanol in that in the other stuff that's high proof alcohol, but it is adulterated slightly with methanol, and that's what makes people go
deadly.
crazy. It's actually pure grain alcohol. It doesn't. And the other thing is, there are states in this country where you can now get pure grain, and have been able to for years, get pure grain alcohol with a revenue stamp on it. And I mean, it's hilarious because in Knoxville, Tennessee, you can get, because I actually bought it, the next county over, Blount County, is dry. You can't get even beer on a Sunday. It's hilarious because we took a friend who's German out for pizza at the airport, and the airport is actually in Blount County, and he wanted a beer, and it was on a Sunday, and he gave us this look like, what is wrong with you? But then he had us over for Christmas, and he had this bottle of PGA, and I'd never seen PGA before, and he got it from a liquor store in Knoxville, and I actually bought a bottle of the stuff, and it comes with a great big label on it that tells you can't drink this straight out.
Exactly.
And it's extremely dehydrating, and it just burns like crazy. And you're supposed to have to mix it with fruit juice or
water
or something. But of course, since I bought it to soup up it really is extremely burny because it's very dehydrating.
Thank you, everybody. If you have any other questions or comments, probably Scott.
Yep. Thank you.
We're at the corner of Barker Road and Quent Phelan in the town of Cavendish, immediately adjacent to the solar project behind us. Is our 20 megawatt Coolidge solar project. Significance of this position that we're standing in is the transmission line from our collector substation back to the Velco Coolidge substation, who is the transmission owner and will provide our interconnecting means for the solar project.
So as John mentioned, this is a 20 megawatt solar project. It's been in development since approximately 2015. It is the largest solar project in the state of Vermont by a factor of about 4. So this was a project that a company called Ranger Solar started to develop and was then acquired and taken over by NextEra Energy Resources. This is our first project in Vermont and our first solar project in the region. So we're looking forward to many more from here. So we're a renewable energy development company, and we're actually the largest owner of energy generators from the wind and the sun. So solar projects, wind farms. We're currently in 32 states, as well as in our headquartered state of Florida, where we own the utility Florida Power and Light. So ultimately, when you look at all the New England states, each of them have pretty aggressive renewable portfolio standards, mandates that the utilities have to meet to buy renewable energy. It's an important policy goal. It's good for the environment to help mitigate climate change and greenhouse gas emissions. Also, it's very difficult to get other forms of power up here. There's not any indigenous gas gas that's indigenous to the region. There's no coal up here, really. So ultimately, it's a mix of having policy that supports new investment in renewable energy. It creates jobs. It's good injection of capital into these state economies. There's also a need for new electrical capacity that renewable energy and solar in particular helps to meet.
Site location, siting a project like solar takes a lot of variables into consideration. Not the least of which would be the size of the land parcel, the contours on the land. Solar resource,
I mean, you want to keep in mind, I think the most important thing is going to be your proximity to transmission, and that's what makes this project really special. So, you know, when you think about how you want to site a project, you know, you want to keep in mind the community, you want to keep in mind aesthetics. How do you site something that's going to maximize the value for the community while having the fewest impacts? You also want to make sure that you're not creating an undue impact by needing to string long transmission. So for a project like this, 20 megawatts going into an existing substation, the site's really optimal for a generator and, you know, one of sort of a more grid scale size.
We have 83,330 solar modules that will be installed behind me.
Projects at this scale, you know, you figure 10 to 20 megawatts and above, they're generating energy, the energy is going into the inverters, power's coming out, AC, alternating current, it's what we can use, you know, with our household appliances. Ultimately, all of those lines are going into our step-up transformer right behind us and then coming back into this transmission level substation. From there, the electrons are going to take the path of least resistance to be used. So ultimately, the electrons are going to be used locally, you know, where they can be, where there's load or demand. And Vermont is part of what they call the ISO New England grid system. So ultimately, you know, the wires, the grid, the energy market spans across New England, and that's what makes it possible for states to contract power across lines. So Vermont imports a lot of its power from other states, often from other countries. Similarly, other states are contracting power from generators elsewhere. At the same time, the new power coming into the region is good for wholesale prices for the regional grid. We estimate, you know, it's about a $25 million injection of new capital into the state's GDP, about $4 million in state and local taxes over the life of the project, and $1.25 million going to the town of Ludlow over the life of the project.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Can everybody hear me okay? All right. Hi, viewers at home. Thanks. Welcome to the 2018 Brattleboro Community Television Producer Awards Party. That's your applause sign for this evening. When you see me do this, feel free to join in and applaud with me. My name is Chris Lenoir. I'm the board president for Brattleboro Community Television. Happy to be here and happy to see you all here. I do want to acknowledge the other board members who are here, and I think most of them are here at this point, but if everybody could just kind of wave as I say your name here. And I was going to do this in a specific order, but then Cor gave me her script, which deviates a little bit from my script. But we do have Vice President Alex Beck right there. And we have our treasurer, Jim Berzino, somewhere beyond this really bright light. There he is. I know our secretary, Pauline Dean, has been greeting you all in the front. And Marty Cohn, who needs no introduction, is floating around here somewhere. He's the best dressed man of the evening. There he is. All right. Jesse Kreitzer, a member of our board, will be joining us later. He's also a member of the Marlboro Select Board, and for some reason he thought governance was more important. But I think we all do as well, so we'll all get to meet Jesse in a little bit. Two newcomers to the board, and neither of them are here right now, but want to just acknowledge them joining. Oh, okay. Leah McGrath Goodman making an entrance, everybody. Thank you, Leah. And also Bob Gammon, newcomer to the board. Happy to have him here. And a new board member, but kind of not really a new board member because she actually is a board member who predates all of us, but happy to have her back on, Lynn Barrett. Thank you, Lynn, for rejoining the board here. Of course, we're here to honor the producers, the people who bring all the great content to channels 8 and 10 on Brattleboro Community Television. But I do want to just acknowledge the BCTV staff in the offices because they do a lot of hard work to make all the content look great on the two channels as well as on the web. I know we have Vlasta Popelka up front there, the operations manager. Big round of applause for Vlasta. Nolan Edgar over there taking pictures for everybody, the content manager. The rookie on the block, Brian Baker. Shaw, here as production manager. And of course, the executive director, Core Trowbridge. All right. And one last note, I just want to extend a special thanks to the Outreach Committee, Alex Beck and Marty Cohn, for all their hard work on planning this event. And without further ado, I will welcome Core Trowbridge to the stage to begin the festivities. Thank you.
Okay, it's so great to see everybody here tonight. Let me just say, it's so exciting for us to look back at the year and see what we've done and who's done a whole bunch of stuff, but it's most exciting to get the energy in the room from people who appreciate all that our volunteers do. So I'm thrilled to see the room this full. There are a whole bunch of seats down here in front that are open if anybody wants to come and take them. And the way this night is going to work is I'm going to give a little state of the station report, which is kind of a report on the trends of the last year, a few highs and lows. And then I'm going to turn it over to the board to hand out each award. And awardees will come up and we'll go over the process. But anyway, so this is me giving the state of the station report. And one of the main things that happened this year is we had some big staff changes. And this was the staff photo taken in July 2017, where you can see Jeff and Roland are still on staff. And a year later, thanks to my GoPro, it looks a little warped. Sorry about that, guys. But in that one 12-month period, our production manager, Roland Boyden, moved to Philadelphia, and Jeff Mastriani moved on to Amherst Media. So, so that's half of our full-time staff changing over, so you can imagine. And I thought, wow, you know, this would be a rebuilding year. But Brian and Nolan have been on and hit the ground running. Brian's already produced 30 episodes of Meet the Candidates since June, which is, I think, a new Vermont record. So I think we're going to be just fine. Sponsors, I want to acknowledge, these are businesses that help us out by underwriting our programming. Brattleboro Savings and Loan underwrites just about everything local that we do. The Brattleboro Food Co-op underwrites all of our municipal programming, and we have Sabine here in the audience. Thank you very much. All of those meetings. First Light provides us with very good internet at an okay price. And Brattleboro Retreat underwrites our staff studio productions. The annual meeting we had last month, I'm just going to do a quick recap because this tells you a little bit about the statistics of what we were aiming to do and what we did do over the year. And when I say over the year, I mean the last fiscal year, which for us is from July to June. And one of our main goals was increased content, and increased awareness and engagement with our content. And the tool that we found to achieve this was Facebook Live. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. And that is, we had Windham County's Got Talent, which was a talent show that the parent company of the Brattleboro Reformer put on in January at the Latches. And they wanted us to put it on Facebook Live. We said, okay, fine. And we got you can see this is the view from being up in the catwalk. And the MC from the crowd, instead of saying, now will everybody please put your cell phone away, he said, I want everybody to take out your cell phone, go to Brattleboro Community TV on Facebook, and share this video. And at the end of the event, we had 162 shares and 17,000 views on a talent show. So we were like, wow, this is really great. We tried it again with the Harris Hill Ski Jump, which was another milestone this year, where we partnered with the USA Nordic to live stream both days of that event, which is really a regional event. And We also got a lot of shares and a lot of views on both of those videos, and those were from all over the world. People literally commenting, watching from Guam, watching from Alaska. I love Brattleboro. So the engagement that Facebook allows for really makes a big difference and is a good match for our programming. The final example I'll give is Strolling of the Heifers Parade, where we normally would get 1,000 to 2,000 views on YouTube for that parade live and right afterwards. This year, 227 shares and 14,000 views. So it just shows you what the amplification is there. So we felt good about meeting that goal. The other thing that built awareness this year was winning a Hometown Media Award, which is a national award for overall excellence. And combined with that, getting a front page article in the Reformer. This is an award we've won before, but nobody knew it. So it didn't really count. And also Roland's outreach video that he rolled out at this event last year, surprise, there's a TV station in Brattleboro, also won a national award in the category of about access and empowerment. And this is an award that his video won 4 times while he was at our station. I wanted to show you a quick clip of the videos that we submitted for the award, just to give you an idea of the breadth of content that we are showing and what we are being judged by. Each clip is just 10 seconds long, so it goes pretty fast.
How does it feel now knowing that things are going to be changing soon?
Great.
Today's poem is by the Vermont resident and poet Galway Cannell, who was born in Providence, Rhode Island in 1927 and lived in Sheffield, Vermont.
Let's talk about the modification a little bit. When somebody comes in, they've got a tattoo, what should I do with it? Should I laser it off? And then you say...
Yeah, I say don't laser it.
So this is a coiling technique where you have a bundle of material and you start wrapping it. Traditional coiled is very regular and very smooth and very even, and it never appealed to me.
How's it going? I am here at the Harris Hill Ski Jump, the 95th edition of this thing. Looks really awesome and packed. I can see, I don't know how many people, maybe 200 people.
In one photo, he looks angry because he could not go to school with his brothers. So they gave him a book.
Act 46 does not allow choice towns like Vernon to be in the same district as non-choice towns like Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney. Vernon wants to maintain its 50-plus year history of grade 7 through 12 school choice.
Thank you and congratulations, BUHS class of 2017.
What happens in government, like anything else, you start with something, a smaller nucleus, a concept, and then you start building from there and you add ideas on.
That should be 2 things that we can actually do, right? We should be able to get people the help they need and upgrade the infrastructure so that it's usable for the people.
Are you ready for that vote? If so, all those in favor, please rise. You may be seated. All those opposed, please rise.
So another thing that I noticed when I was going over the stats for the year in the annual report is that we really have a fairly small amount of people doing a lot at this station. Not only do we have our field producers who are here, and just want to quickly name them because a lot in the room. Janice Shalou is here, and M. Richards. Rich Mellinson, right there behind the camera. Frederick Noyes, is he here? No. Esler Oreste here. Austin Rice. And I said M already. Okay, I've got you twice. And they are producing, in terms of staff, producing about 700 hours of that content. But we also have volunteers producing about 500 hours of that content. And we are seeing more views on YouTube, up from 300 views a day last year to 500. Part of that is just we have more videos on YouTube, but part of that is we just have more people coming across our videos, and 200 views a day, staying steady on the website. We also have a new facility software that we just started using that allows us to track how much we're doing. And we've only been using it for 3 months, and we're able to say that we have an average of 9 reservations per day. That means 9 either people editing, using the studio, or checking out gear. So for a small station, that's actually quite a lot. Some of those days it's like 12. Some days it's 4. But this data is going to be useful in helping us tell the story of how we can be a little station that produces so much. And what I wanted to concentrate on for the rest of my time is just talk about a little bit of the people of BCTV. We're going to hear more in depth about our award winners tonight. This is a photo at Roland's farewell party. That is a lot of the people who are in this room as well. And I wanted to just talk about how the people who are doing the bulk of the work to produce that content, and just give you a quick snapshot of those people so you get a sense of people who maybe win an award one year, but then keep on going to produce year after year after year. And in some ways it's really impressive. Any of these producers will tell you it's hard to start a show, but it's exciting, and maybe what's harder still is to continue producing and to keep that energy going. So just going to give you a snapshot of how people work at BCTV. This is our volunteer live event crew, and these people basically operate cameras at events, live events, that the staff is running around, running cables and making sure the internet connection works and all that kind of stuff. Here we are at Harris Hill. We also have a bunch of volunteers who act as hosts, who provide commentary, and who do our news show. And you'll see a lot of those people are in this room as well. And that is for like commentary at live events, like a parade, hosting open studio, interviewing legislators, or hosting sponsored shows like the Retreats show, for instance. And here's Olga Peters doing our news show, and her news show at the same time. And finally, the producers. These are the producers who, we have 50 people who are producing at BCTV during the year. Some of them producing 1, 2, 3, 4 shows, but these people are producing, even at a higher level than that, 5, 6, 10, 20, 40, 50, 60 shows during the 1 year. So I just wanted to, I'm going to run through them and just give you a snapshot so you get an idea of who is BCTV. Marty Cohn, who you'll be hearing more about tonight. He started here in 2012, and he also produced another show this year called Healthcare Matters. And he, with Grace Cottage Hospital, and produced 9 episodes of that, and as well as starting the show Rotary Cares this year. Karen Davis does a weekly broadcast of the First Baptist Church. She started in 2013, so she's been doing that for 5 years. Chard Denord, who was one of last year's winners, was new last year, and this year also produced 10 episodes of Poet Speak and 16 episodes of his You Come True poetry reading. And that's self-switched. You can see his the mouse there on the table. So he's actually switching the cameras himself using that mouse while he is the talent. Jerry Delmonico produced Day Kitchen with Donna, and It Happens in Brattleboro. And he also produced the Guilford Community Church. He produced 57 programs last year, and has recently moved back home to be near his family. Maria Dominguez, who everybody knows. Is there any chance she's here? No. Okay. Maria could basically win our Volunteer of the Year award every single year. She produced 50 shows this year. First Wednesday lectures, rallies and protests, author talks, Southern Vermont Dance Fest, concerts. It's great that she was a People's Choice nominee this year with her video of Bernie Sanders' town hall meeting as well. Russ Grabiak was a new producer in 2013, and we'll hear more about him later. He produced 28 shows this year. He favors history and veterans events. George Harvey and Tom Fennell produced Energy Week. They started producing this in 2012, the minute that we changed our studio around to be able to do that self-switching. So Tom, over on the left, no, on the right, is switching with the mouse. George, here somewhere? Yeah. There he is. And I believe that today they recorded their 288th episode. Wow. And they just save a slot. Derek Jordan produces the World Fusion Show. This was last year's series of the year. Derek's right over here. And is a People's Choice nominee with his video that had over 5,000 views. He dropped the first one last July and has been releasing it every 2 weeks. Has released now 31 episodes, is that right? 34 episodes. And I'm going to get this a little bit wrong. It's shown on 39 community TV stations across 16 states.
77 stations.
77 stations in 18 states. And he has more of a professional crew model, where Esler directs, and he has Al Stockwell doing the sound. Jen Latham became active last year. She is an Emmy-winning producer, and she is producing now PSAs for the Brattleboro Conservation Commission and some History of the Latches documentaries. Reggie Martell, he was active with the Brattleboro Historical Society, now is active with Brattleboro Words Project, Turning Point Prevention Coalition, and produced 11 videos this year. Pete Millett became active in about 5 years ago, also recording Calvary Chapel Maple Valley church services, and that's all the way up in Jamaica. And he tapes and edits that each week. And it's great for us because our service territory goes all the way up to Jamaica to have local programming from there. Al New, you'll be hearing more about. He is part of a team of volunteers who've recorded St. Michael's Mass since 2009 and are about to record their 500th episode. And I can tell you that when I go in to check our website stats, the most popular page after the home page is the St. Michael's page. So let's get it out there. He also does a lot of live music. Wendy O'Connell, her show, Here We Are, is also nominated for a People's Choice Award. And she was brand new last summer. And here she is pictured with her intern, Aiden Meyer, who stepped up to help her direct and get her show going. And she's produced 50 shows in 14 months. Wow. Esler Oreste, yeah, isn't that great? Esler Oreste was Producer of the Year in 2016. He covers everything from rallies and protests, the Root Social Justice Center, Art Story, you name it. Also director of the World Fusion Show. Also on staff at BCTV, and produced 13 shows this year for this station. And a great looking profile pic right there. Andy Reichsman last year was here representing Mitchell Giddings Fine Arts Presents, which is art talks. And you saw a clip of that in our awards video. He produced 8 new episodes of that show this year. Kip Tewksbury became active in 2015. He produced 19 shows this year. Theater Adventure Program, Tiny House Fest, concerts, forums in general. Kip is one of those people when people call the station, say, I would like a volunteer to come. Kip is one of the people who goes. So can't do it without that. And finally, Roland Volbear for the Wyndham World Affairs Council. He learned to produce after a lot of stops and starts. He is also a People's Choice nominee this year with a video over 2,000 views and produced 5 videos this year. So that wraps up my little talk about our MVP, Most Valuable Producers. Every show that anyone makes is valuable, but some people wonder how we get the volume of videos created that we do, and this is how it's done. Is a bunch of people doing a lot of work. The other kind of work that happens here at BCTV is board work. And at the annual meeting, I gave our Peggy Award for board service to Martin Langveld, who stepped down from the board after 7 years. 6 of those as treasurer, and he brought a lot of really great nonprofit governance experience to the station, and really appreciated that. The last thing I'm going to talk about before turning it over to the awards group is what's going on with Comcast. And a couple of things. I think the last time we were here, we talked about how we were trying to get Comcast through their Certificate of Public Good renewal to have our shows be on the interactive program guide, like all the other shows. So you can DVR it through your cable thing. And the state of Vermont agreed with that, but Comcast, instead of saying, okay, I will do it, they have taken the state to court over that. So that's right now in federal court. At the same time, there's a lot going on at the national level that I'm sure you guys have heard about with the FCC and threatening things in general. And we finally did see a decline in cable revenues for the first time. You can see I put up from 2008 till now. So for the first time since Comcast took over, this is the first year we've seen it, and it was pretty severe, $20,000, less than we anticipated. So if you can donate, the jars are back there. And when you renew your membership, you're really helping support our organization, and the board's going to be working on how we can get through this next period. And thank you very much for your time, and I hope that was interesting. It was really interesting for me to put together. And I'm going to introduce Brian, who is going to show a video that he made trying to tell the story of community media here in Brattleboro.
Give me 1 second here. So this week is Free Speech Week, and it's a national recognized week celebrating free speech. And a part of that is Community Media Day, which is October 20th, so last weekend, but better late than never. So Cora tasked me with making a video for that day, kind of celebrating what we do at BCTV, but also what it means to the community and how much of you utilize what we do here. So without further ado, here we go. With all that is happening in the world today, it is easy to think, how can I, being one person, change the outcome for the rest of us? At BCTV, we give you the tools to start small. Small being in this very community. Though it may seem that we are a microcosm of the larger picture, so much is happening right here. This is where people raise families, run businesses. We have a parade for cows and a crazy huge ski jump. More importantly, it is a place we call home. In these times, community media has never been more important. At BCTV, we work endlessly to film that board meeting, help edit that local event, produce that PSA, or maybe it's asking the next governor of Vermont the questions that matter to us. Our goal is to offer you the means to stay tuned into your community, to stay up to date on events happening in our backyard. Community media is programming made for you, by you. And remember, when you think big, you can start here. So that was the premiere of that video. You were the first to see it, so congratulations to you. We will release that publicly tomorrow, so share it if you want. Anyways, I'm gonna hand over to, I believe, Chris. It's gonna start the awards.
Community Partner of the Year, Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. Of BCTV's 30 active organizational members, BDCC has stood out over the past 2 years because staff members learned how to record videos themselves. Kristen Brooks took the training and recorded 5 BDCC events. Sarah Lang was trained the day before she recorded 2 funding announcements. We always tell people we will train you. Few organizations take advantage of that offer. It's great that BDCC did. They also hired us to cover the 2018 Young Professionals Gala and the 2nd Southern Vermont Economic Development Summit, and they create PSAs promoting workshops and programs. You all know members of the BDCC staff, a lot of familiar faces on Channel 10, frequent presenters at local select board meetings. Accepting the award is their executive director, Adam Grinold. Come on up here, Adam.
BDCC staff and crew took the time to maximize that SEDS plan and stay true to it, and over time deliver the results. So in thinking about this, I felt a little awkward accepting this award, in that really felt like we should be giving the award for all of the amazing services that BCTV provides to the region. You know, the access, the technical know-how, and just the passion of each and every one of the individuals at BCTV really resonates for us. And for regional economic development efforts to be successful, we really need an informed and engaged community. And BCTV has really helped us expand our network and communications outside of our normal reach. And when people see the words economic development, it doesn't always resonate. So what's really helpful is when you see a video of an intern working in a local business, perhaps you see a young professional celebrating at the gala. So that's really helped us connect with people, and BCTV has made that possible. BCTV, through those connections, have also helped us inform the community. In this past year, 75% of Windham County residents funded SEVID's municipal requests at town meeting. So for that, this award, thank you, BCTV. Court, you had asked that maybe Sarah say a few words about the production as well.
I did.
Dang it. I was kind of hoping you would forget. Yeah, so one thing that one of many things that BCTV has provided to us is the access to training on how to use the equipment for my program specifically, which I actually work in Bennington and Windham County, so it's a pretty large area. And one of the benefits that BCTV has provided is the training so that I can film the workshops that I do, and so if people are not able to attend the workshops, they're able to view them at a later date. As well as Rich coming to our 2nd Economic Development Summit. You know, people weren't able to make it. They could view that literally the entire day. So thank you, Rich, for that. But it's an invaluable service, and you know, it's literally like a 20-minute training, and you're off and can record your own stuff, and it's something you can keep and archive and use at a later date. So it's really useful. Yeah.
Great. Court, you would encourage us to treat this like that. Oh yeah, guys. Come on. All right.
To present the next award for our municipal partner is our Vice President of our board, Alex Beck.
Thank you. So it's my pleasure to present the Municipal Partner Award for this year, and that goes to a board or a committee that uses BCTV to promote transparency and public engagement in whatever governmental body they're a part of. And this year's award goes to the River Valley's Unified School District Board. The River Valley's Unified School District is a newly created district that followed the unification of Dover and Wardsboro school districts under Act 46. And as many of you know, Act 46 was complicated and emotional and quite a thing that happened to our communities. And in the aftermath, it was great to see a community board take the opportunity to educate. They recorded their bi-monthly meetings, and thanks to their promotional efforts, their meetings had received hundreds of views, and one had over 5,000 views. And for a board meeting, that's good. That's really good. So having those meetings recorded and accessible to people who might not be able to attend in person is really important and great. And accepting the award for the River Valley's Unified School District is Richard Werner. If you're here tonight. No, Laura Sibilia will be accepting the award.
So I wasn't prepared to say anything, but I will say that this, the merger of the Wardsboro and Dover boards has been a very emotional journey. We knew that this would be really monumental changes for our communities, and documenting that process, allowing our communities to follow us even when they weren't able to be at the meetings, was going to be really important. So we're so happy that we did it. Richard was a little slow to convince, but he's absolutely sold on the power of providing this for our citizens. So this has been great for our communities, and thank you.
Okay, I'm Jim Verzino, treasurer of the board. The nonprofit member award goes to a nonprofit that actively uses BCTV to promote its mission and activities. And going off script here for just a moment, the two Brattleboro Rotary Clubs are really an unsung hero in this community. They provide tens of thousands of hours of volunteer activities, from everything to helping homelessness to creating all kinds of different activities around town for youth and for adults. And literally tens of thousands of dollars go to scholarships and other nonprofits. So the Rotary Clubs really do a lot in this town, and luckily the Marty Cohn, past chair of the Brattleboro Rotary Club, is really doing a lot now to promote Rotary. So Marty, past chair of the Brattleboro Rotary Club, created Rotary Cares last October and has recorded 10 episodes. In each episode, Marty hosts a Rotary member from both local chapters. We have two, the Sunrise Rotary and they call it just the Rotary Club, but it's at noon if anybody wants to go. Both Rotary Clubs are a lot of fun. And Marty hosts the show to talk about local projects and latest activities that are going on for Rotary International. The critical factor for making the show a reality is that another Rotarian, Kevin Yeager, stepped up to fill the role of technical director. When you come to BCTV with an idea for a show, we explain that you have to either learn to self-direct or recruit a technical partner. Staff appreciate that Kevin and Marty are very organized and require minimal assistance. Marty cross promotes the content by distributing a podcast version of the show. Accepting the award are Marty Cohn and Kevin Yeager.
Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers that come together to make positive, lasting change in communities at home and abroad.
Thank you. So Rotary is something that's been around for over 100 years, and we've been trying to figure out a way to explain to people what the heck we do. And Kevin and I have been talking about this for, I don't know, about 6-7 years. We said, you know what, why don't we put together a show and we'll break down what Rotary does into able to do is have this show on, not only on BCTV, but because of the thing that Al Gore invented, the podcast. This is phenomenal to me because it's apparently something that millennials listen to, and we actually are attracting younger members. We had a new member who joined us from Maine who actually heard and listens to the podcast. So gosh darn, it works. So Kevin and I have been doing this now once a month. We get along great. Every decision is really an easy one. The first decision that we made was who was going to be up front and who was going to be behind the camera, and that was pretty an easy decision. But I want to also thank BCTV, who really makes it easy. We go in there, we're prepared. They've got all the equipment, and then Brian puts the finishing touches on it. So it's something that is just so easy to do, and it's also very effective. So on behalf of the Rotary Clubs of Brattleboro, thank you very much. And I also would be remiss if I didn't say thank you, Yael. I love you.
And now to present the award for Volunteer of the Year is the wonderful and talented Pauline Dean.
Hello. The Volunteer of the Year award is given to a volunteer who's gone above and beyond in helping BCTV serve the community. This year, the award goes to Russ Gravitt. Russ joined BCTV 6 years ago and first learned to cover veterans events and concerts at American Legion Post 5. He became one of our key volunteers and responds to requests all over the country. We are constantly asked to send a volunteer or videographer to events and have very few people who can commit to this. Russ is often that person. Some of his regular programs are our Veterans Event, the River Garden Brown Bag Lunch Series, Magic with Jonah Kane, and Dover Free Library events. In addition, he operates the camera when needed for studio shots, and starting last year, he volunteered on camera at every Brattleboro Select Board meeting. He also plays a key role in our live production of that important meeting. He recently made the transition from editing on Final Cut to Adobe Premiere. It was tough, but he did it. We could not run BCTV without dedicated volunteers like Russ.
My baby needs an angel, never learned to fly. She'll not reach sanctuary just by looking to the sky. I guess I could have carried her, but I didn't even try. My baby needs an angel.
This is what it's like to be on the other side of that camera. Well, I'm speaking to my friends here who are all compadres in video. I had a speech made out to guide me through the stammering that hey, oh, it's a microphone. Thank you. Too many things. Hey, that's me. I'm using the old tag. I thought that logo was prettier than the one we have now, but we may evolve to something even better. I'll put it on. As the introduction said, I'm proud of the fact that I've been recording, being on the camera for the this Brattleboro Select Board meetings, and that's an important thing for what I call my posse, my couch potatoes. They're not here tonight. They're at home. How you doing? let me just read it. I have 2 minutes, I understand. I've attended enough bi-weekly select board meetings to appreciate the democratic governance that results from a dedicated select board, a capable town manager, and a heated public participation, as well as the skilled direction of cameras by Nolan from the control booth upstairs. Thank you, Nolan. Our cameras are recording history. We're recording history tonight, whether you know it or not. Of course, the history of this moment, just as surely as Matthew Brady, Margaret Bork-White, anybody know Caleb Howe? He did local photography 150 years ago. I'm putting myself in stratospheric company to name those names, but we all in our way record history with our digital format, which is what's going on now. We, as a human species, have a need to tell stories and to listen to stories ever since we were gathered around a campfire talking about the hunting the mastodon or whatever, and great fish stories. I facilitate that. I love to listen to somebody's story, and there's a lot of stories going unvideoed out there, and that's why I make sure I can volunteer myself to go out and video who's ever putting on a presentation. As I say, I'm happier behind that camera. But let me wind this up. I'm a technological dinosaur. Whenever my new friends ask for a copy of their recorded performance, I cavalierly say, I have people for that. Thank you. And that's what Brattleboro Community Television is all about, helping get the word out through the video that we do, as if you didn't know. Just one last thing, let me say, the people out there listening to this, come to Brattleboro Community Television. Record your moment, your story. Learn to edit, that would be helpful. We have people, and it's rewardingly addictive. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Jesse Kreitzer. I'm a board member at BCTV. Good to see you all. I'm going to be presenting the Producer of the Year Award, and then we'll get to the series. The Producer of the Year Award is given to a community producer for outstanding production work and commitment to BCTV. Al New has been the backbone of the volunteer effort to record BCTV's longest running weekly show, St. Michael's Catholic Mass, since 2009. Back then, a team of volunteers would record the service to a VHS tape, and someone would run it over to BCTV's tape deck to play out on Channel 8 the same day. 9 years and almost 500 episodes later, Al has updated the video equipment at the church several times over, and now edits and uploads services directly to YouTube, along with uploading it to our server for same-day viewing at 2 and 7 p.m. on Sundays. This year, Al brought his love for live local music to BCTV with the new show, 5 Mics Songwriters Series. This series is also on his Southern Vermont's Live Music YouTube channel, but it's well suited for BCTV because the songs are original and it features local musicians. In addition, as a volunteer, Al often runs a camera for the World Fusion Show and covers events when requested. So we want to thank you, Al, on behalf of the board, the staff, everybody at BCTV, and congratulations on being named Producer of the Year.
tendency to scan through email, so I thought I had 20 minutes, but I reread it fortunately for your sakes, and I have too. So that's, and as Russ sort of suggested, a lot of us are much more comfortable behind the camera than in front of the microphone. But I really want to say I'm honored and really surprised to have been chosen for the award. And Cora, I want to thank you and everyone else at BCTV for the support you've given me for my shows over the years. At St. Michael's, our original goal was to allow members of the parish to view the Mass when they're unable to attend weekly Mass. But our parish wanted the Mass to be shown on the same weekend it was recorded, and initially it was a runner. And then when they went digital, that provided a whole other set of challenges, and they could have easily said, well, we just can't do it. But they worked really hard, and we came up with solutions that have changed over the time, but it's an amazing thing.
The hot folder, remember the hot folder?
Oh yeah. So it's just, if it doesn't show due to me, usually we get calls about it, where was the Mass, why didn't it show? And that's, but over the years, I've often found myself sort of wondering, is anybody really watching it? And is it worth the effort? And I've heard two things that made me realize that that's the case. Our current pastor, Father Justin Baker, was telling a story about a friend of his in Rutland that was incapacitated from a car accident and doesn't get to visit Father now that he's down here. But he told him, I love, you used to make me laugh so much, and it's so great that I can watch you on the internet and get to laughing with you again. And then recently, we received a letter from someone, I'm not sure what part of the country, and she wrote in thanking us for the beautiful Mass that we put on and sent a donation for the renovations that we're doing to Bridget's kitchen. So those kind of things make it really worthwhile. As to the other side, I've always had a really great love of music. My son was an active musician, and there wasn't really sort of anywhere to find out who's playing where and when, so I started a Facebook page called Southern Vermont Live Music. But BCTV really let me go beyond that and not only just let people know what's happening, but let them see it. And the Five Mic Show, if you're not familiar with it, Jason Skaggs is the organizer. He invites 4 other musicians, and they take turns playing acoustic original music. And if you haven't seen it, it's really an amazing show. Their talent, the songwriting, and it's like playing in someone's living room. People ask questions, and it's the quietest room you've ever heard at a concert. There's this nobody talking, which is my favorite part. It's and there also ends up being 15 songs, and I'm really as much about the audio as the video, and so I end up spending a lot of time with the audio editing, and I produce all of them as singles so that they can use them for promotional work. And I can't think of a better use of public access television than supporting the local members who are doing such amazing music. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm Marty Cohn, producer of the award-winning Rotary Cares. All right, so the Series of the Year award, which is a great award, I actually won it in 2015, so it's like, is given to the producer of an outstanding series on BCTV. This year, Wendy O'Connell came to BCTV last summer, and she wanted to do a show, but she lived in the area for 40 years. She pretty much knew everybody. She says, there's got to be a way to bring people together and to talk about all the wonderful folks in the area. One barrier for her, she thought, would be the fact that you have to learn how to produce and edit and all that good thing. And fortunately for her, a student intern came by, and Aiden Meyer from BUHS, and lo and behold, Wendy was able to do the show. Her interview technique, if you haven't seen the show, it's really incredible. She interviews people before the show, so she has a kind of sense of where the show is going to go. And then when she starts recording, she already knows the thread of the questions that she's going to ask and kind of the answers that she's going to give. I met with her a few months ago, and she was saying, Marty, is there a way to get more people